Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is, without a doubt, a monumental collision in the world of international football. I mean, the stakes absolutely do not get any higher than this. We are breaking down the epic World Cup semifinal matchup going down in Dallas, pitting two absolute titans against one another, Spain and France. But this isn't just a game between two talented rosters. It's a historic clash of fundamental football philosophies. On one side, you've got a defensive structure so rigid it feels physically impossible to break down. And on the other, an attacking arsenal so devastating, it just feels completely uncontainable.
This whole stylistic heavyweight fight is brilliantly captured by one stark contrast. Over on the Spanish side, we have a jaw-dropping 0 goals conceded throughout this entire tournament. 0. They have been historically impenetrable. And then you have France, bringing this overwhelming, multi-dimensional firepower. Just their front two alone have scored an astonishing 13 goals.
So let's really dive into this, because it brings up one of the absolute oldest paradoxes in sports, right? It's the ultimate question defining this historic matchup. What actually happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? How do these two completely contradictory extremes even exist on the same pitch? And, maybe more importantly, which one is going to break first? Which brings us to our first focus, Spain's historic, immovable object, their record-breaking defense.
To really grasp the first half of this equation, you just need to consider a single staggering number, 560. That is the exact number of World Cup minutes Spain's goalkeeper, Unai Simon, has gone without conceding a goal. I mean, you have to go all the way back to a strike by Japan's Ao Tanaka in Qatar to find the last one. Since then, Simon has kept the net completely empty for 7 consecutive games. And by doing that, he and Spain officially shattered a 14-year-old Swiss record of 559 minutes, a record that was spread across 3 different tournaments back in 1994, 2006, and 2010. What Spain is doing right now isn't just impressive, they are literally rewriting the history books of the Men's World Cup.
The best part is that Simon is totally embracing the role. I absolutely love this quote from him. He said, "We're the villains, there to stop the goals that football lives off." He literally sees himself as the bad guy, the guy whose entire job is to just ruin the fun for opposing forwards and keep the headlines quiet. It's a thankless job, sure, and he admits that, but right now, the quiet he commands is absolutely deafening.
But here's the crazy thing, it's not even like Simon is out there making spectacular save after spectacular save. It's that he barely has to make any saves at all. Think about the expected goals, or XG, that Spain has allowed against their recent opponents. Cape Verde, 0.30. Saudi Arabia, a minuscule 0.14. Uruguay, 0.20. Austria, 0.32. To put that into perspective, Austria didn't even muster a single shot on target. Opponents aren't just failing to score, they're barely even getting a meaningful look at the net. Spain's whole structure is basically designed to completely snuff out the chance before it even happens.
So how do they actually pull this off? Well, it's not by just packing players in the box and parking the bus. No, it's through absolute suffocating control of the ball. Take their 19-year-old prodigy, Pau Cubarsí. He is anchoring this backline with an unbelievable 96% passing accuracy across 449 passes. And we aren't talking about safe little sideways passes here. He is constantly actively filtering the ball right into the opposition's half. Basically, Spain's defense suffocates you by just denying you the ball entirely. You can't score if you don't have the ball, right?
And this perfectly highlights the philosophy of the Spanish coach, Luis de la Fuente. He put it perfectly when he said, "There is a magnificent balance between them," talking about his defensive backline. Because it's not just about technical skill, it's about emotional control. It's about serenity. Even when they're facing immense pressure, guys like Cubarsí play like they've spent a lifetime on the pitch. They just keep their cool, they bring the ball out calmly, and they entirely dictate the tempo for the rest of the team.
But now let's flip the script. Part 2. France's unstoppable attacking force and their explosive arsenal. Okay, we need to dramatically shift gears here. Remember those Spanish defensive zeros we just talked about? Compare that to the explosive, chaotic reality of the French attack. Kylian Mbappe alone has 8 goals in this tournament. Ousmane Dembélé has 5. That is 13 combined goals from just 2 guys. Mbappe seems totally unbothered by past injuries, and right now he and Dembélé are proving beyond a shadow of a doubt to be the most prolific, lethal forward duo on the planet. No question.
But honestly, this is what makes France so terrifying. It's not just the Mbappe and Dembélé show. They have a whole cast of key contributors. You've got Michaelis, who's become this incredibly inventive connector, drifting inside to expertly link the midfield right to the attack. Then there's Bradley Barcola bringing this just explosive speed, and Desire the Way coming off the bench and making massive instant impacts. This kind of tactical flexibility means France is incredibly coherent when they don't have the ball and dangerously varied when they do. They can break you with blinding speed, or they can just patiently pass right through you.
And all of this builds on a really staggering legacy of absolute dominance. Just trace France's recent World Cup history. Finalists in 1998, 2006, winners in 2018, and finalists again in 2022. Now they're aiming for their 5th final in 8 tournaments. And even more wild, a victory in Dallas would make them the first nation since Brazil, who managed it between 94 and 2002, to make 3 consecutive World Cup finals. The pedigree you're looking at here is simply unmatched.
So, how do they match up? Let's get into the tactical battleground, where the game will actually be decided.
We've got our unstoppable force and our immovable object. But as we all know, football isn't played on paper. The absolute crucial collision point here is Spain's aggressive high press matched up against France's lethal transitional pace. See, Spain loves to deny you time and space. They press high up the pitch to force split-second decisions under immense pressure. But as we saw when Belgium played Spain recently, if you can just escape that initial Spanish press, there is a ton of space to be exploited behind their midfield. And let's be real, there is no team in the world that exploits open space better or faster than France.
And that right there creates a massive dilemma for Spain. Mbappe's sheer terrifying pace discourages high defensive lines. So, what does Spain do? Do they stay true to their identity, push their defenders high, and risk leaving all this open grass for Mbappe to just sprint into? Or actually, do they drop back, sacrificing that suffocating control just to protect their goal? It is going to be a fascinating game of tactical chess between these two managers.
Plus, we cannot ignore the highly volatile recent history between these two squads. Let's remember, Spain eliminated France 2-1 in the Euros 2024 semifinals, and they also beat them in that absolutely wild 9-goal Nations League thriller just last year. So France is arriving in Dallas with a massive, glaring score to settle. Spain is literally the team that keeps blocking their path to glory. The psychological warfare going into this, it's just as potent as the tactical setup.
Which brings us to our final section, history on the line, and the ultimate stakes of this matchup. As we wrap up this explainer, we really need to zoom out and appreciate the sheer historical weight riding on this single match. We're not just watching a game, we're watching sports history unfold in real time. Just think about these colliding milestones. Is Spain going to secure a completely unprecedented 6 consecutive clean sheet in a single World Cup? Or is France going to completely shatter that defensive wall to punch their ticket to a 3rd consecutive World Cup final? Only one of these historic narratives can survive Dallas. Someone's streak has to die.
And that leaves us with one final, provocative thought. It's the age-old sporting debate, playing out on literally the grandest stage imaginable. Does defense win championships, or is firepower truly king? Well, we are about to find out exactly what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and enjoy the match.